how to heal from betrayal without ending your marriage. I'm going to try to help you understand how to do this by sharing 3 secrets. I say secrets because, again, if you're looking at the same social media feeds I am and listening to all the other people talk about betrayal and how awful and all this and all that, if that's what you're listening to, these are some secrets that need to be introduced into your thinking. Secret number 1, you don't have to heal alone. This does not have to be a process that you engage by yourself without your partner. Well, traditional models of recovery and healing say that individual partners must do their own individual work first, and only then can you come together to begin restoring your relationship. I would be curious to know, and maybe you can put it in the comments, how many of you were told that, or how many of you went through that kind of counsel, received that kind of counsel or coaching. And here's what I found. When I actually explain couple-centered recovery to people, many of them, what they do is they look at me and they say, that's what my heart has wanted. Something in their hearts knew that that wasn't right for them. It wasn't right for them. I'm not saying it's not right for some people. There may be some people where that traditional model is perfect, but it wasn't right for them. Attempting to heal in individual therapy or support groups over there on your own while coming home to an unstable, unsafe, and even hostile environment, it makes healing even harder. How many of you have experienced that? Maybe you're getting great counsel or great coaching from this person. Maybe you're in a wonderful support group and you go there and you feel safe, but because there's been no attention paid to the actual relationship and there's no work happening on what's happening in the house, the other 23 hours of that day and 24 hours a day of the other 6 days a week, you come home and it's immediately dissettling. It's hard. It's really difficult to do this. You're trying to address this problem that you cannot separate from the relational dynamic in your house, and you're trying to address it on your own with only half the people there. Some suggest that you cannot heal inside the relationship in which you were actually hurt. How many of you were told that? Or that you can't help heal the individual you hurt. So if you're the betraying partner or the addicted partner here, maybe you were told, I've heard people say this, I've heard this said in 12-step meetings, you're the one that broke her heart. She's gonna have to go somewhere else. She's gonna need a professional for that. She's gonna need that, right? And the best thing you can do is stay out of her way, withdraw. What ends up being suggested here is a process of detachment. Detachment means, okay, maybe I don't leave the relationship formally. Maybe I don't divorce you or whatever. However, what I do, I begin to separate my heart from you. I withdraw from you emotionally, relationally. But here's the truth. If one of your goals is to heal your marriage, not just yourself, then detachment is counterproductive early on. I'm not saying there's never, ever a time for some degree of it, but just hear me out on this. If you start there, and if that means you're gonna take on these 2 parallel separate tracks, it is counterproductive and it delays inevitable work that must happen eventually. You are kicking the can down the road. Here's what I believe. There is no one in the world that can activate neurobiologically wired in attachment system like your primary partner. Even if you're in an insecure or dysfunctional sort of relational pattern or attachment pattern, your primary partner is still your primary partner, whatever dysfunction there is. When we understand that underneath betrayal trauma is this huge attachment injury, and that underneath sex addiction or chronic betrayal is usually attachment injury and attachment traumas, what we see is that we need to do work in the attachment system. Now, let me ask you a question. Let's take a guy who has committed chronic betrayal. What is going to fire up his attachment system more? Him for 50 minutes once a week with me, who he's not known at all, or his wife sitting across from him actually interacting with his primary partner, him actually talking about these things, watching her as she has to talk about and process these things. Which is going to activate his system more? Well, his wife. This has to be done carefully and skillfully. But when I get a couple together and I can leverage the power of the biologically wired in attachment system, I can create moments of healing for for both partners and their relationship at a depth and at a space in the recovery process that could not happen if they were doing only individual work on their own. As I said before, I want to say it again because I want to be totally honest with you guys about this. It is more difficult up front, but it leads to more comprehensive healing and transformation for both partners individually and together in the long run. If you're doing traditional models, this might be some version of this is what's going on, okay? At first, I'm assuming someone toward the beginning of this process after discovery of betrayal. The betraying partner, what is that person working on? Well, stop acting out. Learn to regulate your emotions. Learn to do good impulse control. Start beginning, once you have some sobriety, you're gonna start examining the roots of the acting out behaviors. And you're gonna get a lot of psychoeducation. Maybe you'll get psychoeducation about things like empathy and co-regulation with your betrayed partner and validating your betrayed partner and that kind of thing. But maybe that won't be part of your individual process. For the betrayed partner in individual work, they're gonna talk about reducing triggers and setting healthy boundaries and grounding techniques and beginning to heal from trauma. And you might, it's more likely on this side to get these relational components, you might get some psychoeducation and some coaching around using your voice and making requests and that kind of thing, understanding gaslighting dynamics and abuse, what abuse is and all of that. But what's missing here? No actual relational work. It's all theory. There's this theory happening, right? Where, okay, I'm teaching you about empathy. Okay, now I send you out to go try it. How well does that work? It doesn't. If the relationship is going to change, you have to do relational work. You have to come together as a couple to do this. That's my belief. All right? You can disagree. That's okay. Here's what happens though when we actually put the coupleship in the middle. Yes, you're learning these things individually, and these things are being brought into the actual work of the coupleship. Now we actually have these realistic opportunities to work on this. We have in the moment practice to facilitate these new behaviors, to actually provide some scaffolding of these skills that need to be onboarded. You're able to get real-time feedback. I'm constantly giving real-time feedback to guys who need to learn how to validate, who need to learn how to express empathy. I can actually in the moment do it because they're doing it right there in front of me. Also, this is huge. When the coupleship is in front of the helping professional, there is so much additional data that's given. I've witnessed where I've met with a guy individually, an individual client, experienced him as gentle and reasonable and trying, but then I met with him and his wife together and he's closed down and curt, short-tempered. If I hadn't seen them together, I would have never been able to experience that part of him to help work on that. Also, when the coupleship is together, you have someone who can actually advocate for the relationship, not just for you individually. I'm not saying to the exclusion of you individually, but also for the relationship. And that is incredibly, incredibly important. This is, I changed the names of all of this, but these are real things that have been said to me. I've collected snippets throughout the years and I've tweaked certain things to make sure to protect people's identities. For the last 8 years, I've been seeing therapists who keep telling me that I need to put myself first, and that required moving my heart away from my marriage and not having too much hope in its survival. That felt wrong to me and my values. It also felt very isolating in my own home. Your model has given my husband and me a plan to heal in a way that protects our marriage and heals it and us at the same time. And that's exactly what I want. That's exactly my hope and my prayer. I want to give you 2 of my favorite resources. These are not mine, so I'm not pushing my own stuff in this slide or anything. 2 colleagues who I also consider friends, Carol Jurgensen-Sheets, known as Carol the Coach, Marsha Means. Both of them have put together these wonderful resources, Help Them Heal and Learn Empathy. Help Them Heal is really a couples workbook. There's another version or a existing book she wrote called Help Her Heal that is specifically for the betraying partner or the addicted partner. Both of these are really centered around learning the skill of empathy. Learn Empathy by Marsha Means is for the betraying partner or the addicted partner. If you're just getting started in this and you're like, yeah, that's what we need. Maybe you're a betrayed partner and you're saying, yeah, that's what's missing. I see he's doing step work. He's going to his CSAT, but I don't feel any different in his interactions with me. Okay, Here's an important emotional request you could make. Would you get one of these books and work through it? Even better, would you find one of these groups and work through it? There are Help Them Heal groups. If you go to Carol's website, she's got groups. She does groups. She's got trained professionals who do groups. We do groups here at Daring Ventures. We've got an empathy group that uses Marsha Means' book right now. We've used Carol's book. There are groups out there. You don't have to come to one of ours. Go to a group, get with a bunch of men. You're not going to be able to do it on your own. You're going to need other people. That's how we grow and learn. This is about relationships. That's why couple-centered recovery is what it is. It's about relationships. It's about recognizing that we learn and grow and develop in relationships. So go get in some relationships with other guys who are trying to learn empathy and pour yourself into it. If you don't, this won't work. Take it from the guy who's watched hundreds, Kathy says thousands. It is thousands of couples in one form or another attempt this process. If there's not empathy on board, you are not going to progress through the phases of healing.